Hello everyone and welcome to a review of the Chkalov, the Tier 8 premium new Soviet aircraft carrier. I got this ship recently for doubloons. It costs around 11k doubloons, on you at least. And my god, I have had some fun, let's say, playing the ship in ranked at Tier 8 in Silver League because this thing is extremely powerful to say the least. As you can see, you have three squadrons. You have torpedo planes, dive bombers, and skip bombers. So instead of having the tiny team rockets, which are on the Pobeda, the Tier 8 Soviet carrier, the Tech 3 one, in this case we have the dive bombers instead, which have this kind of the same reticle of the Grab Zeppelin, so the circle instead of an ellipse. You're gonna see that later. But in my opinion, this carrier here, the Chkalov, is by far, it is one of the best carriers in the game at the moment, in my opinion, because she can deal massive damage to basically any target with all three types of squadrons, in my opinion, because we're gonna see each squadron has some strengths and some weaknesses, but my god, this carrier is busted, in my opinion. So this squadron that we are seeing here in action is the skip bombers. Okay, so even if you are supposed to bomb via skip bombing on destroyers that give you broadside, you can even directly launch the bombs on top of them, and if you hit them correctly, you can score decent damage. Okay, this was 3 bombs out of 6 and it was 6.2k damage. So on a lightning, this is huge damage. Okay, by the way, you're gonna see some desyncs in this replay because of the new recent replay bug introduced by Wargaming. So even if sometimes the drops seem to be a little bit off target, sometimes it is my fault, but most of the times it's the replay which is a little bit bugged recently. So the strengths of this ship are, in my opinion, this aircraft carrier, are the extremely high damage output capabilities of this of all these squadrons. As you can see, these are the dive bombers, which have this circle instead of the usual ellipse. As you can see, you can attack a target from every direction and it doesn't really matter too much. So the attack time is also very short. So these are other 2 hits and another 5 point something k damage on a lightning, so huge damage. This carrier and I mean those planes, they do have one big weakness, which is the speed. The cruising speed of those planes is 128 knots, which is not really a lot. With speed boost active, as you can see, you can reach 166, which is very much slower than the competition. But as you might have probably seen by now, when you take off, you have this burst, this rocket burst that kicks your planes out of the carrier really fast, and for some seconds you can reach around 250 knots. Okay, so the takeoff of those planes is insanely fast, but the cruising speed is rather slow. So you have to manage properly and you have to think a little bit in advance on where you are gonna go, because if you want to go to one side of the map and then relocate with your planes, it is not going to be that easy. These are not fast planes at all. As you can see, this is a clear desync of the reticle. Still one hit on the lightning that is left with only 300 HP. Another weakness of those planes is the fact that supposedly they have a limited amount of HP, and I mean, on paper they should be squishy, but as we're gonna see, we are not gonna be not even close to be deplaned during this match, even if we're gonna be attacking constantly all types of targets: destroyers, battleships, and cruisers. The ship has, I mean, the ship hull has some kind of weaknesses, which is, I mean, namely being squishier than the competition. So you are particularly vulnerable in your CV hull. Also, the base concealment of this ship is 13.2 with the camouflage, which is the one that I'm running right now. So you're not that stealthy if you don't go for the concealment skill or the concealment module, which I'm not running at the moment. I'm still trying to figure out which might be the best, the very best configuration for the ship, but this one that I'm using, which is completely ignoring concealment, it is just fine in my opinion. So I will show you the build as always at the end of the video about regarding the captain and the upgrades. These are the torpedoes. The torpedoes have a really narrow spread, so you can stack 6 torpedoes almost one on top. One on top of each other, and if you can land them properly, as you can see in this case, you can deal pretty decent damage. The torpedo alpha strike is not that high. The alpha damage is 5.2k, which is not great considering the torpedo protection and yada yada. But I can pretty much assure you that the torpedoes are pretty damn nasty. Dive bombers and skip bombs, the dive bombs and the skip bombs have the same alpha damage, which is 8.7k, and both with 49% fire chance, which is really a lot. And especially in the skip bombers, if you can land them properly, you have a very decent chance of scoring at least 1 fire. Sometimes I've scored even 3 fires with 1 single strike on some battleships or some heavy cruisers, so absolutely really valuable. As you can see in this case, we're gonna strike this Bismarck. If this one was a little bit off, I aimed a little bit too high, so you want to aim for the upper belt or the superstructures with your skip bombs, so you can score pens and also of course have the chance of scoring some fires. So as you can see in this match, we are 4v4. Our Tallinn, that has been doing nothing the whole game, is now pushing into sea against the carrier and the Atago. So I was thinking that was not the best scenario for him, and it turns out that he's gonna die and achieve completely nothing the whole game, as we feared, because, you know, running into an Atago that is kiting away while supported by a CV in a Tallinn is not a fun experience. Also, we have these 2 battleships, the Bismarck and the Tirpitz, that are left alone in the A cap. I mean, they are facing an Amagi and a dying Massachusetts, so which Tallinn dies, so we are left with one cap only. And the Massachusetts also dies, so it's me and the Amagi against the 5k HP Bismarck, the Tirpitz, the Atago, and the enemy carrier. So this match is looking not great for our team, to say the least. Another weakness that I didn't mention yet is the fact that the torpedoes are very slow. They deal like 40 knots by default. Running the torpedo speed upgrade, you can go to 43 knots, which is still kind of garbage. So if your target is rather maneuverable or makes the right dodging maneuver, you can, they can actually avoid your torpedoes kind of easily, to a certain extent. Here, the Bismarck died, the Tirpitz is left with like what 1k HP, so I even less, and I didn't want to commit to a strike running into the Lexington fighter, because I was thinking that my Yamagi would have been able to kill that Tirpitz, but in classic World of Warships ranked teams fashion, it turns out that the Tirpitz is gonna trade with Yamagi, and not even by ramming him, but by torping him. So little spoiler alert. Here I'm trying to decap this Atago that is capping the C cap, and there we go. Yamagi kills the Tirpitz, but she kills Yamagi in return. So we are now left with one cap only. The enemy team, surprisingly enough, didn't cap a single cap during the entire duration of this match so far. But yeah, it's me against the Atago and the Lexington at the same time. So not a, it's quite tough situation. Let's talk about the maneuverability of the ship. Chkalov does 32.3 knots as whole speed, and you have a gigantic turning circle radius of 1040 meters. So it's like, you know, Stalingrad or Moskva turning circle radius, which is really not great for a tier 8 aircraft carrier. But this ship is supposed to be played, you know, as close as you can to the to your enemies using terrain coverage usually, because as you can see with this takeoff burst that you can that you can get out, it is really nice to it is really easy to get to your enemies really fast and unleash all kind of all the weapons that you have on them. So torpedoes, skip bombers, dive bombers, everything. It is gonna be quite a pain to deal with all these different kind of airstrikes that you actually have. Here I'm trying to land some skip bombs right on top of the head of the attacker, which I failed to do. In the meantime, I have to protect myself from the Lexington planes, which are kind of annoying. Of course, if you have Kuznetsov, the Soviet Special Commander, it is absolutely recommended to run it on the ship, because I can absolutely guarantee you that it can give you some extra survivability, and sometimes it can be a game changer. I mean, it is not that good as, for example, on a Kremlin or on a Stalingrad, but it is still great to have instead of a normal captain. So here this Atago is thinking, okay, I'm gonna run and rush down this Chkalov, which is already crippled down by my Lexington. But as you can see, by the time he reaches us, we are able to get on him with so many airstrikes. I mean, dive bombers, skip bombers, torpedoes. Even if he's really good at dodging stuff that he can dodge, which are the torpedoes, he can't really dodge the skip bombs and the dive bombs. The dive bombs and the skip bombs are extremely annoying to deal with, because I mean, even if you turn in or turn out, you're still gonna eat some damage at some point. So you can't really mitigate completely the strike, okay? So this is one of the main reasons why I think that this ship is completely busted, because every single kind of airstrike that you have is able to deal massive damage directly or dot damage on every target, basically, as long as you can manage your positioning and you don't run into multiple targets AA, because these planes are squishy, okay? They are squishy, but the fact that you have, you know, these squadrons that attack all at once, you don't have just multiple squadrons that are attacking at the very same in waves. It makes extremely, you know, difficult for the enemy ships to shoot down your planes if you don't run into flak, because yeah, you're gonna lose some planes here and there, but you have so many planes that you're kind of fine. As you can see in this case, we managed to kill this Atago that was trying to you know, rush at us, and now I'm like, okay, if I stay here, I have 19k HP barely. I will die from the Lexington planes. Here I was trying to see if I had some fighters left on some squadrons, but I didn't check the torpedoes. I have some fighter squadrons on the torpedo planes, but I checked twice the dive bombers, I think. So I at this point I was thinking that I was out of fighters, and I was, okay, this guy is gonna kill me, so GG, well played. As you can see, we are left with 5.6k HP. He's full HP, so on paper we have no chances here, okay? He also has some fighters left as well, so as you can see here, these planes are gonna go down kind of easy, okay? It is not difficult to shoot them down, but as you can see, we can cycle them pretty fast as well, and you can get on our target very quickly. This is the main strength of this Chkalov. If you park at the end of the map, you're not going to have a fun time, because it is going to take ages for your planes to reach your targets, okay? So you're not going to have a great impact in the game. But in an environment with not too many ships like ranked, in which you can try to position yourself in a, you know, convenient position, and you know, you can actually get really nasty positions. As you can see, this is what, the fourth strike on this Lexington that we are able to pull off in a very little amount of time. Here I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna die from these torpedoes. I'm gonna try to maximize my chances to avoid them by full turning on my left, and it turns out that we are gonna avoid those torpedoes. As you can see, we can strike the Lexington with torpedoes, with skip bombers, with dive bombers, with basically everything. As you can see, this was a, we dropped the bombs right on top of the Lexington, 13k damage. We're gonna drop some dive bombers as well, just on his flight deck. That's another 10k with 4 bombs. As you can see, we are literally chewing apart his HP with all our armaments. So, in my opinion, this CV, the Chkalov, is even more OP than the other CVs in the game at the moment. It is really, really, really strong. Also, this Lexington is kind of panicking as he's not actually managing to land his drops, which is a little bit unlucky for him. But remember, we had 5.6k HP, he was full HP, and in the very end, it turns out that we are on the winning side of this engagement. Surprisingly enough, believe it or not. And we are gonna see the end screen results, and we'll see you in port, guys. So here we go. We end up with 161k damage, 58 planes, 4 kills, a defense expert and high caliber. I was also running all the flags and the camos for the modifiers, so we end up with 25.5k free XP, 1.5 almost millions credits, and a pretty decent outcome in the very end. As you can see from the base XP, we are well above 3,000 base experience. Well, I mean, pretty higher than the second one in our team. So this is just to showcase the amount of carry that we actually were able to pull off. Also, well done to the enemy Lexington, which was first in his team. So, and keep in mind that CVs earn less base experience than the other classes because it is way easier for the CV to get damage. So imagine this amount of carry with another ship class, like for example a destroyer or a battleship. We would have been able to maybe reach around 4k base experience. I mean, if we would mix in as well some capping, because we didn't cap a single base, that would have been a monstrous game. As you can see, we damaged 6 targets of the enemy team out of 7, so basically everything, and massive damage to this Atago and the Lexington, which we sank both on our own basically. Huge damage dealt on the Lightning and Tirpitz, Bismarck and Lenin. Of course, battleships are the one of the juicier targets for you, as for all carriers. As you can see from the damage distribution, we didn't get much damage from fires and flooding, which is a little bit strange for the Chkalov, because your abilities to start perma fires and perma floods are really, really great. So imagine if we had some, a little bit more luck with the fires and floodings, this game could have been a really, really monstrous game. But as you can see, the torpedoes, the damage distribution is pretty even between dive bombers, skip bombers, and torpedoes. So this carrier doesn't have a squadron that is less useful than the other. This is the I'm gonna stress this one more time. This carrier is really, really powerful with all his type of squadrons. So credit earnings, I wasn't even running premium, so with premium account I would have been able to break 2 million credits earnings. Considering that this is a CV, I consider this to be a pretty strong result. So this is the Chkalov. Let's start with the equipment as always. So we go for air group modification 1. Here we go for this one. Here I choose to go for torpedo speed plus 5%, even if the benefit that you get is really limited. So you can even go for torpedo bomber attack time plus 5 seconds. I mean, I didn't play too many games in this thing to be sure about this build, but this is the build that I'm currently using and the build that I was using at the time of that game being played. Here I go for torpedo bomber as HP because it's the kind of squadron that requires more time and requires to get closer to the enemy to be deploying his payload. So I think that this is the best, but if you figure out that you need something else, you can go absolutely for probably the dive bombers. I think the skip bombers are the least affected by this because you usually drop them from afar and you don't really need to have super high HP on those planes, in my opinion. Here I choose to go for flight control modification 1 to have 2 more places on my carrier for basically more planes, and a little discount on the restoration time of the planes. But of course you can absolutely go for concealment if you so choose. That said, let's go with the captain. As I said previously, of course Kuznetsov is by far the best captain that you can get there. If you don't have it, I mean, anyway, it is gonna be every captain is gonna fit. So here I'm running this build, which probably is not the best one, but you know, I'm a fake CV main player, so I would recommend going for probably this one, squadron engine boost duration plus 5%, because your planes are very slow and you want to enhance the speed of those planes as much as you can. Then I go for squadron speed plus 2.5%. Once again, you lack speed on those planes, so you need to get every bit of speed that you can get. Then you go for aircraft armor, so you reduce the continuous damage that you receive. Then I go for the reduction of the AA flag from the flak damage. And of course, since we have those nice torpedoes, we want to enhance the damage output of those torpedoes. So I go for the proximity fuse. Then I go for site stabilization. So this is always useful on every carrier basically. Then I go for torpedo aiming distance minus 10%, but maybe you can also go for torpedo speed plus 5%. I'm not sure about this one. I'm still testing this, but probably torpedo speed might be a little bit better, but this one is also not bad. And with last 2 points, I didn't know what to take, so I took 2 1-point skills. So once again, this to help us with the speed, and restoration time minus 5%. So yeah, that was my captain for the Chkalov. Of course, you can even go for concealment if you want, but once again, the fact that this reduces the speed of returning air squadrons by 50%, I don't know. You have plenty of them, so this might also be decent on this kind of ship, but I'm not completely sure. Flags, nothing to say here. As for combat flags, you don't need any of these combat flags. Really, CVs really don't really need too much. I was only running all the economics and the special flags, so this is why I was getting so many credits and free experience. So, by the way, if you want to blame somebody for me playing this ship, don't blame me, but blame Tranlas. I decided to take this ship after I watched his video on YouTube about this ship, and I can say that his video was pretty accurate. This ship is completely OP. So does this ship get my recommendation? Yes, if you can afford it with doubloons, not paying with your real money. Is the ship powerful? Absolutely yes. It is completely broken, but a little disclaimer. If you go to the armory, I think that it is said that this ship might be changed in the future if needed. Okay, and I'm pretty sure that in this current state, this ship is completely OP. So it is not even a question if this ship is OP or not. Let me check if we can see this somewhere. Oh, come on. There are so many premiums lately in the game. Where is that ship? Why I can't find it? I mean, whatever, somewhere there should be the description of the Chkalov, and if I'm not mistaken, it is said that in the future there might be some changes on the ship. So keep an eye on the changes on the Chkalov before you actually get the ship, because it might be different from what you've seen right now. So Chkalov approved in the sense that it is super powerful, it is completely broken, and it is insanely bad for the game health. But this is not a unique example, so it is just another example of ships that are really poorly designed, in the sense that you have so little counter to this ship, and if you are on the receiving end of a Chkalov, it is not a great experience. I can speak for, I mean, I experimented this directly on my ships, and it is really not fun, really not fun. Anyway guys, that was my Chkalov, I wouldn't say review, it was just a basic comment, my opinion on this ship. I don't know, if you want to support me, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment and a like if you like this video, and share it with your friends or with who you think it might be interested in this kind of ship. And I don't know, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.